Yes, Devaka. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's visible.
Okay. So thank you, folks, for inviting me for this today and taking out time on this weekend evening. So um, the topic that you had asked was for 0 to 1 product management, and I realized that it's uh, better to talk about 0 to 1 product manager, which touches upon product management and product manager both, and that's the area which I'll cover today. About me, um, my name is Divakar Kaushik. I started my career as an engineer. I was an entrepreneur after that, did one or two business roles, then became a product person, worked with startups in India and Indonesia. In my last role, I was building GoPay, which was the uh, digital wallet for Indonesia. It's the largest digital wallet in Indonesia and one of the largest in the world. I was lucky to uh, build it to a significant scale, uh, building ubiquity, taking it to places in Indonesia uh, where people were not aware of digital wallets, and also some opportunity to expand it to other countries like Singapore and Thailand and Vietnam. Uh, Also, recently I started building community as well for product creators, and you can always find me on Twitter as @Pentropy. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. These are some questions that were asked in the list shared by Jayant. People want to know about the basics of product management, about the skills required for product. A lot of questions were on whether non-tech folks can become product manager. How do they become product manager? What does product manager do? How do they handle uncertainty, communication, prioritization, MVP, etc. So uh, all these topics will take a very long time to discuss and understand. It's near impossible to merge them all in 1 hour. So what I'll do is that I'll try to share about some critical skills that essential skills that PMs need to survive, what they need to do, what reality is like, and then open up your thinking on that so that uh, you at least have a lot more lenses to look at. You are a lot more curious after seeing these things or hearing about these things, and then you can use this information that we discuss in this talk to go deeper into finding the answers that you're looking for in your career. So before I start talking about it, few things. If at any point you think this is not useful or relevant, please feel free to save your time and do something, whatever you want. You can leave in the middle of the session, no constraints on that. If you have any questions at any time, you don't have to wait till the end. You can just ask at any point. And if you think that there's something that you totally disagree with, feel free to note that or point that out as well. But I would love to hear your questions, have your discussions. Uh, I've done similar talks before, and this can go from anywhere between 25 minutes to 45 minutes. I will try to do it really fast. I want to go through the presentation in max 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then have conversations rather than just me talking to the screen and not having any conversations. Uh, yeah, so let's get going. To start with, let's see what internet has to say about product management. Because if you're starting your career in product management, ideally the first thing that you would do is go to Google and search product management. So if you search product management, these are the kind of things that these are like some of the things that you will hear. This is not, of course, not everything. Like, what does a product manager do? Somebody would say that you have to build a width of knowledge as well as depth of knowledge. Somebody would say that, like in this graph, you see this person with specs has all these mental maps of communication, leadership, empathy, data, design. Somebody would say that you have to have user empathy, product design, data analysis, planning, facilitation. It's a never-ending list. Like the more you read on internet, the more you'll figure out that it's very very wide, often misunderstood field of work, um, and a lot of different people teach and explain product manager in their own way. The interesting part is that all of it is correct. It's not wrong. You can't say any of it is wrong. So a product manager is actually a very very wide field of work. You have to work with engineers, you have to work with designers, you have to work with business, you have to solve communication, you have to do prioritization, you have to get shit done, you have to do continuous decision making, you have to know about latest technology, what's going on in AR, VR, machine learning, interaction design, market research, uh, vision, A/B test. Like it's actually true. And uh, what it does is that somebody who's getting into product management, it is overwhelming for new people to get into product management because it is impossible for any one person to be good at all of these. I'm not even saying expert at all of these, but to be good at all of these is almost impossible. So, how do you figure out what are the things which are more important? What are the skills which are necessary? And how do I get it? And a lot of these are uh, not very obvious skills. And when I say obvious, I don't mean easy. Obvious means predictable. So, like some of you might be software engineers. So, learning a programming language, I'm not saying it's not complex, but it's obvious. So, if you have to learn Java or you have to learn Golang, there's a way you can do it. You read about it, you write some code, and at the end of it, you have a skill level that goes up. It's like tennis. You want to play tennis, you learn some forehand, you learn some backhand, you learn some movement, you learn some serving. You do that for a month, you will gain that skill, and you can say that I know a little bit. But this is not the same because you really don't know whether you need to learn forehand or backhand or just running or stamina or what. So in today's session, what I've done is that I've picked five such skills which everybody says are critical for product management, and I'll tell that what's behind the scenes on those skills, because everybody says that you need to have this, but what does that mean? So that's what I'm going to be sharing today. Any questions so far, or um, anything else that you're expecting?
I think this is great. I think this is great. Let's get going, and probably in between, if we have any questions in the chat section, I'll just hit you.
Sure, sure. Okay, so the top skill that people talk about in product management is that a person PM should have user empathy. What does that mean? What does user empathy mean? Because if you talk to your friends or seniors or other people who are doing product management jobs, they are not sitting and doing user empathy all every day. Most of the time, they are hustling. They are running around to make sure that products are getting delivered, shipping is being done, copywriting has been done properly, design has been completed, front end and back end folks are talking, business teams are working on marketing or collateral, whatever they need to work on, working with the data teams. Where is user empathy in all this? You can't build user empathy while you are hustling. So there's some things that you can do to make sure that you have user empathy are these. The first and most important one is biases. So all of us are biased. There's no one who doesn't have preconceived notions about the world or what will happen if things will, how things work, how people think. And the younger we are, actually, the stronger those uh, believes that whatever I'm thinking is right sometimes. Uh, but as a PM, what you need to do is that you need to be very, very aware of your biases. You need to be very clear. Uh, you need to be very clear about what are the aspects of user behavior that you might be totally unaware of. So imagine you are building a dating app, and like somebody like me, if I'm making a dating app today, and I'm married and I'm not in the dating field at all, if I do think about the user as myself, there is a very very good chance that I will be missing out on most of the views that the world has or my user base has. So essentially, you have to continuously uh, become objective of your biases and stop that mindset of that. I know that it is going to work this way. The more you are rigid, the lesser you will be able to build your user empathy. One actionable suggestion on that is that there's a book called Art of Thinking Clearly, which is essentially a listing of all the biases that people generally have. Uh, it's like 120 or 130, I think, list of biases that it talks about. So it's a good starting point to even know what kind of biases that you might have. The second is training your mind to be objective in micro and macro situations. So what does that mean is that uh, whenever uh, whenever you build products, you will always go through a lots of debates on micro things and macro things. When I say macro things, that will be like if you're overall deciding whether your uh, product is relevant for a new country or not, whether your product is like you launch something in let's say North India, which is your Hindi product, and then you're saying that, oh, what is the next language that you should pick to build the product. And micro would be things that you're doing on an everyday basis, your weekly planning, deciding what to do this week or next week, deciding whether how to prioritize between features and other things. So uh, always try to figure out how can you measure the decisions that you're taking. How can you measure uh, the output of the decisions that you're taking? And that's actually a training thing. It has little to do with your analytical ability, how good you are at maths, etc. Little bit, but a lot is training, because most of these things that I'm asking you to be thinking objectively are very very subjective things. They're very subjective. You really don't know. So essentially it's a good quality guesswork that you have to do. The third is developing curiosity about the users. So that's again very linked to the first thing that I said. If you're building something, try to build things so that you can start tracking, so that you can start figuring out what users want, what kind of users do you have, what are they doing on your product, when are they coming, when are they going, why are they leaving, what is the thinking behind that. That curiosity will come from data and also from talking to users and generally figuring out what how people are using your product. The next is learning to ask many but relevant questions. I think one of the things that our education system does, and it's a controversial view that I have, is that people are asked to not ask stupid questions, which kills curiosity early in the age. But and what in when people leave for education and get into real life, and that attitude stays. But you need answers to move things, because it's not in real life is not exams that if things don't go well, you will maybe get less marks or something. But it's real things. You have to take decisions. Then people fill those gaps with assumptions, and assumptions of things that don't need to be assumed is extremely harmful. So uh, you must one thing you must do is learn to ask questions like uh, what are we building, who is the user, who will be the user tomorrow, what is the if the understanding of user is correct or not, are users choosing our product for a reason, would users stick to us even if pricing change. So all those things will help you make your product lot more specific and better. And also don't worry about being a know-it-all. No one else is. Don't worry about always launching the perfect thing. Don't worry about making things which nobody else has ever done. Don't worry about those things. Like worry about things that you are in control of, and keep increasing the number of things that you are in control of. So these 5 things will help you build stronger empathy. So that's the first skill. I'll quickly move on to the second skill that people talk about, that a PM must be a very strong communicator, uh, which is true. It's not. I'm not saying that PM shouldn't be a strong communicator. PMs need to be strong communicator, but strong communication needs to be understood. That what does it mean? Like, does it mean speaking really good English? Does it mean writing really fancy emails? Does it mean that you're doing public speaking or Toastmasters? Does it mean that you're an extrovert and you can easily go out, make friends, and and just connect with everybody? I think the answer to this is these 5 things. So, as I said in the first one, that be objective in your micro interactions and do the same thing to your communication. You have to make sure that, most importantly, your content is important. So this is all in context of your product management everyday work. As every day you have to work with business and tech and design, and make sure that the understanding of user and what needs to be built is distributed within the organization in a smooth way. So imagine you are owning that particular knowledge of what user needs and what are we building and how everything is going on, and everybody in the organization have detailed knowledge about what of their silo. Your job is to make sure that the necessary common information just flows smoothly. So if the most famous graph, Venn diagram that you search about product management is that UX, business, tech, or something, and in the middle they say is the product manager. Essentially, that middle is the responsibility. Your responsibility to is make sure that you are tying all these people together. That that is the core of communication, and that can be solved by these 5 things. Your content has to be very good. You don't over push things that people don't need. Like, you don't send architecture diagrams to business folks. They wouldn't need it. They don't necessarily need. You don't send legal contracts of your clients to your tech team. Maybe you'll know both those things a little bit, but you don't need to send it. But you need whatever is necessary to keep the machinery going. So you're the oil that keeps that machinery going. Secondly is the timing, like when to send information. Are you sending at the right time, or are you just waiting for things to be very perfect? So one of the things that really work, a small thing. So if you become a PM tomorrow, you join a company, and they don't have a culture of writing, and they don't have a culture of sending weekly reports or something, bring that culture. Don't worry that if somebody is asking you or not. Come in, say that weekly we are going to send this report on what's going on in the company, in the product. These things will keep that machinery running. Channel where to say, this is one of the biggest problem these days. Right now, there are so many channels that people work at. You will have your WhatsApp, you will have your Slack, you will have your phone, you will have emails, you will have docs, you now have Notion. How do you make sure that uh, people are using the right channels for the right things at the right time? Another most important thing is tone. A lot of times when you're talking to people, uh, you might be saying the right thing, but because your tone is aggressive or pessimistic, it can make a hell lot of difference, because you're going to be playing with so much uncertainty. So your tone has to be very clear. So if you're building something which you are not totally convinced about, it will come out from your tone. If you're building something which you are scared about, which you don't have enough sense about, your tone will come out. So this is something which you have to be aware of. You can't say that it's not important and it's my style. I don't I don't care about these things. This unnecessary. My quality of work is good, so I can speak in any way I want. It generally doesn't work that way, because as a product manager, you'll have to make sure that you don't burn bridges and you build rapport. And the last thing is relevance, very similar to what I was saying in the content part as well. Like, who needs to know what? Over communication is fine. as far as the content is good. So that's about the communicator skill. Uh, the third, I think this is one topic which a lot of you asked about. Just a lot of people ask that I'm from a non-tech background. Can I become a product manager? Somebody was asking that I don't know design. Can I become product manager? Somebody said that on the business side, what we need to do. In a lot of companies, even in your interviews, etc., some people might ask you that how good are you at engineering? How good are you at design, etc. So it's a very again very debated topic. A lot of people say that PM should know all these things. I recently wrote a, a blog series. I'm still writing on overrated skills and underrated skills for product managers, and I think engineering and design are, uh, are slightly overrated skills at this point in time. You really don't need to know much of coding to be a decent uh, PM. So I used to be an engineer. I can't say that I have never coded. I've coded for many years in my life, but I haven't coded in years, and I don't think I possess the skills to sit with my engineering team and be as good as an engineer as they are. And I'm not a great example of a PM. There are many great examples out there. But if you see most of the great PMs do not code. It, it's it's not right. It's not that you can't write, but it's not something which you are going to be great at. It's not something which you are going to take complete ownership of. If it's not something which you will scale, it's not something which you will do. If you have to do that, be an engineer. Nobody stops you. I know that you have gone to IIMs and now your MBAs and your aspirations are different. But if you still want to, if you think you enjoy coding, well, just go back and do that. Nobody stops you from that. But if you want to be a PM, you don't need to be good at design. So this is something which I made in engineering. So this is something which I made a few years back. So essentially, there are hundreds of things that PMs need to have, but there's six if I have to design broad areas where they work with. They work with tech, they work with design, they work with vision, like how the product would be. They work with growth. They work on problem solving overall, and it is impossible to have anybody who's going to be at top at all these things. Sometimes, if you're working with a small team and you don't have an architect, and then it needs a lot of B2B backend tech work, APIs, etc., that might need your tech skill to go a little bit up. If you're working for something which is purely design, like you're building a product like Figma, you're building something purely customer facing all the time, where you're just shipping out UX changes every day. You might need to know some things about design, but that doesn't mean that you need to be design. Similarly, if you're most importantly, you need to have a problem solving, business, growth, vision. All these soft aspects have to be very strong so that you are able to look forward and say that this is what I need to build, this is how I need to grow. This is the problem that I'm solving on acquisition or on retention or on churn and similar things like that. So you need to figure out where you are and what you have to. So if you are not a techie, don't worry about it. But if you are genuinely interested in tech, I'm not saying that don't go and learn it. Any skill is always useful. So if you're genuinely interested in tech, go and write code, use your evenings, use your weekends, spend that time and become a techie as well. Nobody stops you. If you love design, install Sketch, install Figma, and play with it. Nobody stops you for that. But don't think that not having those skills is a handicap for being a great PM. Another topic that I wanted to touch upon was on problem solving and analytical capabilities. Most of you, not most of you, all of you have cracked difficult exams to be where you are, which is a proof that your analytical ability should be very high, and that's the mindset that most of people who come from top B schools already have, that they are great problem solvers and they have strong analytical capabilities, and they assume that if they get into product management roles, they'll be easily able to do it. So part one is true. All of you have strong problem solving capability. Uh, but the most interesting thing here is the first one. Uh, most of uh, most of the problem solving and analytical stuff that you have been doing for years is solving binary problems. So if I give you a very difficult uh, problem on maths or physics, you'll be able to solve it with ease. And which is the skill that you have, and you have to utilize that skill in the real world, where the solutions are not binary. So my advice there generally is that keep having that same first principles mindset that you have built over the years to solve real life problems, and to come as close to making predictable assumptions as you can. But don't find binary solutions to everything. So use your first principles, break down problems into smaller chunks, keep asking the right questions to the maximum limit that you can, and then take the leaps that will make your product go forward. Because all the products are leaps. So you have to do a lot of analytical stuff. You have to do a lot of study, research, modeling, this and that. And in the end, you have to take leaps. So all the analytical abilities will help you to make these leaps easier. So that's number one on your analytical side. The second is zooming in, zooming out. By this I mean is that as a product manager, you have to live your life in yesterday, today, and tomorrow, every day. So every day you have to look back at whatever you did in last few months and how those products are doing. Then you have to make sure on today, which is whatever your team is building, they are doing it at the right way. They have the right collaboration, PRDs, designs, tech is unblocked, uh, budgeting is done, all those things. And future, which is you are continuously thinking about building a roadmap about this we are doing now, then we'll do this experiment. So this is the complex part about product management, and nobody is going to spoon feed you. So if you're working for a good company, irrespective whether it's a startup or an MNC, they will give you freedom, and that freedom means that you have to do all of this. If they are not giving you freedom and they're telling you what to do, there's a good chance that you're not learning enough. Learning would be that you get your hands dirty. So that you have to learn. Always keep remember that past, present, future thing. If you are not doing any one of these three and doing only the rest of the two, then something will go wrong today or in few months. The second one is building decision databases. Um, Product management needs continuous decision making, not just from you, but from everybody you're working with. Unless you are documenting every single thing that you're doing or discussing and meeting you're having, uh, it's like whatever you hear, you should be able to type. It has to be that kind of cynicism in terms of documenting, because no human uh, can remember everything that's being discussed. So bring transparency, write down everything, write decisions, help people take decisions by reading about the products, about what you're solving, and not just keep it in voice. There's massive loss in transmission in voice. Breaking action and ideas into measurable. This I already talked about, and it's very obvious. The second last is spend extraordinary time on top 2 3 problems. This is a beautiful fallacy that a lot of people have. They think that doing more is good. I don't think so. I think it is most important to figure out only 2 to 3 top problems at a certain amount of time. Ideally, it should be one, but one is too less sometimes. But if you're solving more than 2 3 problems in a span of your working period, it could be a week, a month, or whatever. But if you're solving multiple problems, it's a good chance that none of them will get solved. And lastly, uh, I've seen two kind of product managers: one who love data, or those who fear data. Those who love data spend 90% of their time on data, which is good, but it should not stop you from doing everything else. Data will tell you everything till it doesn't. So make sure if you love data, you help everybody also in your group or team or company be at the same level. Make data democratization decisions. Make it visible to everyone so that right decisions are taken. You are data informed, but you don't go crazy about it. But and on the other spectrum, if you fear data and you just don't use it, then it will be very difficult to become a PM. You'll be just making guesses. You will not be building any knowledge of what you did and how it impacted, what's the treatment, what's the control. It's just not going to work if you fear data. If you fear data, pick up a skill, learn SQL, learn basic tools of data managing, uh, which is going to which will take you a long way. So the last skill, which I'll quickly touch and close, is that people say that product managers must have extraordinary interpersonal skills because it's a collaboration kind of responsibility that the PM also has because of all these different functions that they work with, and also they work with the user. So I think if this is something which is a lot of pressure, and you don't need to worry too much about extraordinary interpersonal skills. Just have to make sure that you're not an asshole as long as you are just being considerate to people, and people understand that you are being objective, and people understand what you are doing is for what reasons, uh, and as I said, your tone is correct, and your intentions are right. Don't worry too much about this. But here, just the most important thing is that don't be an asshole, because the worry in this is there's some people who are introverts, um, who are not so open to going out and talking to so many people, and the pressure on them to on high interpersonal skills doesn't bring out the best in them. It puts a lot of pressure, and that then the things which they are good at, that also they are not able to do. So if you are an introvert, you're not very comfortable with people, use writing as a tool to save yourself from that. It doesn't you as a PM, you don't have to have great extraordinary interpersonal skills. Also, extraordinary interpersonal skills is not something measurable. uh, People who are very quiet and get their point across is also a good sign of interpersonal skills. But what I wanted to touch here is that while doing product management, you have to also take care of yourself. um, this If you choose this path, this can be very stressful in the first year, because you're confused most of the time. You're scared, you're taking bets, things may work, may not work. So that's important that you don't go too harsh on yourself. You make sure that you are learning a lot, you're getting better, you're measuring yourself, you're seeking guidance, you're seeking coaches, you're seeking mentors, you are talking to a lot of other PMs, understanding what's happening in the world. But don't go too harsh on yourself. And that's why there's a disclaimer that I wanted to give to everybody who's thinking about getting to product management, that it can be very, very satisfying. I was an entrepreneur. Since then, I've been a product manager. I may become an entrepreneur again, but I never thought that I'll be sort of happy doing something which I'm not, which I didn't start myself. But product management is the closest to that. That's what I've felt. So if that's what you want to do in long term, if you like challenges, if you like solving problems, if you like creating stuff, if you are okay with uncertainty, then product management is for you. If not, if you are seeking a lot of clarity, if you are seeking a lot of hand holding, and it doesn't matter for startup or MNC, if you're seeking all those things, product management will be tough and it will consume you, and it also changes your personality. So if you're so deep into data and decision making, then in your personal life also you become a little bit of that. Whatever you do, you think so much about it, you go go first principles. You break things down into smaller things, even things at home. So, like, one interesting thing is that at one point, my mother told me that, Devakar, since you have become a product person, you have the number of questions you have asked have just gone 10 times. So things like that can happen. So think about this. And yeah, that's all I have. I have some closing thoughts, and I wanted to look at the questions, but this I'll open in a while. These are some closing thoughts I just wanted to keep before we open question and answers. Is uh, a lot of people said that they want to be product manager in the question and answers, but you need to know your reason why you want to become a product manager. Do you want to, like, I don't know, suddenly I see a lot of uh, people jumping into product management in the last 3 to 4 years, which makes me happy that it's this field is getting popular in India. But you need to know your reasons for that. And how will you know those reasons? You need to know what this field is, and second, you need to know what you want. Nobody will tell you that, but you need to know that, and that you can find by talking to as many PMs as you can. Because it's not worth it if you are not going to enjoy it. It's not worth it uh, if people that you talk to, the PMs, are uh, uh, are uh, are doing the kind of things which you don't enjoy. Other thing is being extremely curious. That's a core PM trait. If you're not curious, it will be difficult. But if you're curious, you'll figure out ways. Also, you need to build your own worldviews. So as a PM, you'll be working with a lot of senior folks also, leaders of your companies also. They will always seek your view. They will always seek what you think should happen. It doesn't matter if you're just joining the company or what, because as I said, it's about leaps and bets. So you need to be very clear of that. Next is seek advice, but decide for yourself. I told you a few things. Somebody will tell you other things. Somebody else will tell you something else. Somebody will say that startups are for idiots. Somebody will say MNCs are for idiots. Somebody, like, people will say 100 things. Listen to people, but learn to take decisions for yourself on your own. Nobody knows. Nobody in this world has a predictable globe where they can look and say, okay, this is what tomorrow will be, or this is what it's right for you. No, your world is yours. Take your own decisions, take your own bets. All of you are extremely lucky. If you're in India, you're from top IIMs. The world is there for you. Don't look from a pigeonhole. Don't be limited by small things. I know it sounds good from words. Uh, People have loans, have responsibilities, etc. But you're in such a great position right now that you could do whatever you want. And you can do whatever you want because I'm sorry, I got this electricity issue. I'm back. Can you hear me now? Yeah. So
Yeah, okay.
just closing notes there that be resourceful. Um, don't worry about the tools and all those things. Just use a lot of Google search. Just find out about things. When thrown a problem at you, just find out a way to solve it as much as you can. And uh, hello, I think share screen. Yeah,
Yeah, we can see it.
yeah. And lastly, the most important one is be humble and aspirational. I've written both these at the same time because some people I don't think that both of these can happen at the same time. Uh, I've seen some extremely amazing people who are so down to earth. I think that's what make them what they are. But I've also seen a lot of people who are from top schools and top colleges and top companies who just look down on the rest of the world, and it really doesn't help them much in real world. So you, as I said earlier, you guys are in a great position to win, but it's just a start. You have to do everything from scratch if you become a product manager today. So you go and become a product manager. You work with other product managers who have been there for a couple of years, who are 4 years younger, are not from any top IIMs or IITs, simple folks. Uh, be respectful to everybody and be also ready to learn from them if you think they have done something good. So if you do that, you'll grow like anything. If you choose to ride on a higher horse, then you'll be limiting yourself. So yeah, on this, I'll just open this for question. If there are any questions, this is my Twitter handle. I'm very active there. My DMs are open. You can reach out to me, can follow me and see. I keep writing about product. There's also a community I run, creators of product, where it's a very open community. People just come there, have discussions on product building, and that's my blog. So thank you so much. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you, Suhal. Sorry. Thank you, Divakar, for the insights. I would be, so the first question is from Suhas. It's on consulting versus versus general management.
Hmm.
How do I pick what's the best for me?
The question is from
Suhas.
Suhas. Hmm. I can't talk about consulting because I've never done it. Uh, when, but I think, but I can answer for product management as I said. If you think you like to create stuff, if you like to solve problems, product management is the place for you. The difference between consulting and product management is that in both you have to solve problems, but in my opinion, in product management you have more skin in the game. If your product, if your product fails fast, it impacts you. In it impacts your appraisal, etc. But you can always move to a next project and then a next project and then a next project.
Divakar, you are not audible. He's joining again. We can wait. We will have to wait for 2 minutes.
Hey folks, sorry, this electricity thing is just Sorry about that. Now I've connected it to my phone and it should go on. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I think we can hear you now.
Yeah. So what I was saying is that consulting versus product. One thing is that in product you get to build things. You can take one thing from 0 to 1, 1 to 10x, 10x to 100x, 100x to 1000x. So that fun is insane. Like you could go deeper into one problem and go really big. And in consulting, you get to do multiple things, small chunks, and that too. Uh, I don't know, like there are different kinds of consulting, so you have to observe and see. But in product, you can be hands-on. You can ship from day one. So I'm very pro product management, of course. I'm not. I've never been so pro consulting because I think, especially out of college, you need to have some experience, or you need to build some things, and you need to do something by yourself to be able to go and tell some other people what to do. Secondly, if you're confused whether you should do product management or you should do consulting, you should talk to 5 product managers, or you should talk to 5 consultants, figure out what they do, and make your own sense judgment on which one you like more. I talked to consultants, and I realized that no, this is not for me.
Yeah. So thanks. Thanks, Devapur. Next question is again from Suhas. PM at a big company versus a early stage company, it's very different. So any examples to understand better? How do I find what's good fit for me, and how do I go about signal best for that role?
Your voice is breaking.
Okay, am I audible now?
Hello.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yeah, very well.
So the next question is again from Suhas. PM at a big company versus an early stage company. These both are very different. Any examples to understand better? How do I find what's good fit for me, and how do I go about signal best for the role?
I think subconsciously everybody knows. Don't look outside for this answer. Look inside. Just imagine what if you had both these options. Like if you have if you're getting an option at Amazon, or you're getting an option at a smaller company which is just starting up. So the fundamentals don't change much. The fundamentals remain same. The big difference between a large company and a small company is speed of execution and the scope of responsibility. If you're extremely hungry, if you really want to do something great in next 5 years, and you want to come out as an entrepreneur, or you want to come out as a product leader, or you want to build a lot of stuff, then go to a small company. Going to a big company will slow down everything. If you want to have uh, uh, a smooth income, very safe, and at the same time you continue to learn your PM skills, it's okay. It's slower, higher, uh, lesser risk, safer life, uh, lots of learnings. Go there. But that's the actual answer. But if somebody comes to me and asks, I would most times say that go to a smaller company, because what you will learn in a smaller company in 1 year, that you learn in a larger company in 3 years. A lot of people say that, but if at least if I go in the bigger company, I learn about the tools, about the frameworks, about the skill sets, etc. Which is true, you will. I'm just saying that do you really need to be in that company for 1-2 years to learn that, or you can just do 2 weekends of Googling to get all that? Talk about Amazon. It's a great company. Maybe I'll also go there sometime. So I'm not saying don't go to Amazon. It's amazing. But I'm saying that if you're going there to learn how they work, You can do that by a lot of reading. There are books on Amazon, and by talking to 5 Amazon PMs, and by attending 5 webinars on Amazon. But if you want to learn product management, how to do it, if you want to learn how to build products, go build yourself. Nothing teaches like responsibility. So if you go to a smaller company, you get more responsibility, you learn.
Next question is from Jayant. What is the role of PM when it comes to working with marketing and sales teams?
See, it's a very broad question. Every company is built in a different way. There are some B2B companies which are sales driven. There are some companies, B2B companies, which are product driven. Same with B2C. There are some companies where marketing is a function of within product, and somewhere it is not. But essentially, the role of marketing is to create awareness about your product and to bring more users to your product. Those are the two big goals of any marketing company. So as a product manager, you have to work very closely with them because you are building a product for the same. So imagine there's a group of people which you are targeting, and marketing wants to tell them what product is building. So marketing and product have to work very closely all the time to make sure that whatever is communicated to the user from within the product or outside the product is same. So if we'll take the example of, I think I have a good example here to play. One of the best ads that we have seen in last 1 year have come from Swiggy. I mean, you have that uncle and auntie who are ordering. So they would do a quick ad about that guy just going out, having a gulab jamun and quickly coming in, and something. So one cupcake. People have 3 cupcakes and there's one missing, and they quickly order. So essentially, marketing is telling the world about all the benefits of the product, the value proposition, that you can order very quick, will deliver really fast, blah blah blah, and of course creating a general awareness. So unless product and marketing are working closely and product is understanding from marketing that what's going on the ground, what's the pulse, it will not work well. So they have to be solving for the right same persona. So imagine Swiggy ads were for some people in some cities who were just not consumers of Swiggy, about things that were not relevant. Like imagine Swiggy ads were saying, "Hey, do you know now you can order food at home?" Nobody wants that kind of communication. Everybody knows that you can order food from home. Most people even know what Swiggy is. So marketing so this is a B2C example. Same in B2B. B2B salespeople are going out, doing cold calls, finding out about what's people asking for, selling the product, getting the feedback, and then sharing it back with the product team. So an actionable advice on that would be, if you join a company, spend time with the marketing team. If it's a B2B company, request them to take you to sales calls, to sales meeting, and just observe there and just figure out what's happening. And do that as much as you can. Don't just sit inside and and these days all those calls are anyways happening on Zoom. So be a silent observer on Zoom. So so that's my advice on how to deal with marketing and sales.
Thanks, Divakar. Guys, any more questions you would like to shoot? So we also have Mr. Suhas Motwani with us. He's from the Product Force. They are a volunteering group of product managers. I would request him to tell something about the product folks and what they do.
Thanks so much, Jayant. And before I start, thanks so much, Divakar, for putting this together. I think a lot of intro to PM sessions that I've done lately but I think this went pretty much, you covered a little bit in depth about each of the skills that necessary. I think it's a great beginning. Maybe you could do a round two to go a little more in depth to understand, interviews and stuff. So I think that'll be really, really useful. But I'm sure, there is a time frame that we have. So it's a great intro. Thanks so much for this session, and thank you everyone for. And thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you guys found this useful. Thank you, Mahendra. Thank you, Jan, for putting this together. You guys should definitely reach out to Divakar after this, because I've had one-to-one with him, and he has some amazing tips for you guys. If you guys are wondering, I just asked 2 questions which I thought might be useful for this audience. But anything around interviews, anything around something more personal. I'm pretty sure each of you all have a career, where you've done a great. I mean, you're in a top tier B school right now, so opportunities out there that are plenty. But how do you make the best use of it? So definitely reach out to him. And yeah, just a little intro. Suhas, I currently work full time with PepsiCo, and for the last 1 year, we've been running a community called the Product Folks. We've done about 93 sessions so far, and it's grown great for us. And we have a bunch of resources on the site to learn. There's Learn PM with me, which is a bunch of curated resources to help you upskill into product management, everything free. We have an APM program, which is also pretty interesting. So if you guys have any ideas, especially since you guys have graduated from a B school degree, if you guys have any ideas on how you'd like to structure that, feel free to reach out. And yeah, would love to help you guys in any way, and hope to see more exciting sessions in the future.
I highly recommend Learn PM with me. I mean, if somebody asks me where to start with for PM, you don't have to go anywhere. So Suhas has already done all the hard work for all of you.
Thanks so much, Divakar. Yeah, that's about it from our side, and over to you, Jayant.
I would also like to thank teams from IIM Bangalore, Calcutta and Lucknow for helping in organizing the talks.